So, hey guys, today we just have one goal to play the maximum amount of Yu-Gi-Oh possible. So, to do this, we're going to need to meet quite a few conditions. So, first off, let's assume, for example, if I'm playing like Fiendsmith, right? If I activate like Engraver, that might be enough to just make someone scoop depending on exactly what hand they open and all that, right? So, I'm already thinking in terms of wait, if I'm going first, is anyone like actually going to wait for me to do like whatever combo? Wouldn't they just scoop? Like there are a lot of cards I have played that just made people scoop despite me activating like only one effect, which dies to like a single hand trap. For example, normal summon Darkblade. That's just enough to make someone scoop, I guess. Or normal summon Rosin. Also terrifying, I suppose. So the logical conclusion I am coming to here is that if I am going first, my opponent's likely to scoop, so we'll try to play a deck that can play going second here. But okay, next issue. Well, there's the issue of waiting for your opponent to do their full combo, which is a little bit annoying. But all right, issue after that. Well, if I break their board like too well, so let's say I'm playing like it could be Tenpai, then my opponent is also once again going to scoop because it's Senpai. If you see normal summon Chundra after getting hit by some board breakers, that is enough to just make people scoop. So not really what I would call optimal for playing the most amount of Yu-Gi-Oh possible. And if I play like board breakers that are much too powerful, in some circumstances, my opponent will be thinking, "Oh, damn, it's just lost," and they'll surrender. So after a certain point, no Yu-Gi-Oh will be being played. So to achieve the most amount of Yu-Gi-Oh, we have to be able to not only survive, we must thrive. So if we're going to be removing our opponent's cards, because we probably have to do that at least somewhat to some extent, I'm thinking we'll probably want to run evenly matched, depending on exactly what our opponent's running. It's not going to kill the strategy per se. And we also don't want to lose. So we need some kind of going second strategy where we don't actually have the ability to win the game, and we need to play something that our opponent understands does not have the capability to like either OTK or win the game, but still be kind of good. But can't be Runic, because if you see Runic cards, you just don't want to play your yeah, I mean, even if you can win, it's just like, are you serious? Do I have to deal with this? No, thank you, right? So, Runic, not really an option either, I don't think. But, all right. If we want to go second, we also want to kind of play something grindy as well, I believe. So, we want to outgrind our opponent and also, like, eat up the resources a bit. So let's say if I was playing against Yubel, after I've banished enough of their cards, they just don't really have a play. They're just left with 0 attack monsters that can't really do anything to me. So that's a bit interesting to an extent, I suppose. Well, we do have to be wary now, well, right now, of evenly not being enough. So evenly, I don't think is going to be resolvable against like most decks right now, or too particularly useful. So I'm having second thoughts about just evenly. If we are running something else with evenly, maybe. But we also don't want to win like too hard. So we have to be careful of that as well. So in terms of grind, what decks have insane grind? That's something worth considering. And then not just insane grind, we need to survive, but not only do we have to survive, we cannot thrive too much because then our opponent will surrender. Because they'll think, game unwinnable. My board broken, I have nothing left. But, I kind of want to throw hands. So, how can we do this? Well, I'm thinking right now about like transaction rollback and paleo. So the issue of transaction rollback and stuff and such is we would have to brutalize our opponent's graveyard. Otherwise, we're getting threatened by Lacrima Burn for Game, which I'm not like a super big fan of. It's alright. If we're dealing with back row as well, the evenly actually helps a good bit. In terms of like monsters, we will probably need some monsters to help us towards like a win con or some other alternative win con, whether it be burn or something else entirely. Like deck out's not like the best one to go for. I think deck out's like maybe okay. But yeah, we should be playing something that can target the graveyard and massacre the graveyard in general. That's probably something we actually want to do. So, do we want to let our opponent play? How much do we want to let them play? Surely, I think Bestials will be okay, at least. So, Bestials are pretty grindy, they double as hand traps, but they're kind of dependent on what our opponent's actually playing. If they're not playing lights or darks, then we have to banish our own, which means we have to play light or dark monsters aside from Bestials. So, that would normally not be a problem, but if we play like light or dark cards, everyone knows that light and or dark cards are like some of the best cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! So mayhaps not Bestials, but Bestials were worth considering, I suppose, at the very least. Maybe it's like not the optimal play to go for this strategy. And also, the other issue here is that Bestials have really high attack points. So our opponent might be thinking it's a scoop phase if we are playing Bestials. So maybe we just don't go for Bestials actually. Because Bestials are maybe too good in some regards. But I mean, if I can't think of anything else, I'm pretty down to play Bestial. So, to optimize the amount of Yu-Gi-Oh being played, we should also still throw in hand traps. Like, I don't think in my rank right now, people will surrender just to being like hand trapped unless their hand is like giga terrible. But if we're able to do certain board breaker type actions, that would be helpful. We do want like removal of sorts, and we don't want our opponent to recycle too much. So that's why the Bestials really come in clutch. If we were playing Bestials, we could just banish some cards from our opponent's graveyard and do some things with those. That would be nice. But what if our opponent's not playing light or dark, you know? Then our whole strategy crumples into dust. So yeah, maybe we don't run Bestials after all. So, okay. I'm thinking we'll run probably Infinite Impermanence. I think we're going to... We can consider playing Called by the Grave. We don't need necessarily Ash, Blossom, Dress Spring, or any of the Max E counters because we're going second so hard. I don't know if I care. It'd be nice if we had some traps, I suppose. Trap deck is probably going to be like fine. We don't want to go too hard, but we also want some recursion with our traps actually. So something that would win too hard is problematic, but we also want to just kind of stay in the game here. So maybe Altergeist would be like maybe acceptable. We wouldn't be playing like all of the cards you would use to do the Altergeist combo though. So it'd be like Altergeist Control. Pretty intriguing here. We also do want like just kind of removal. That would be pretty good. Am I crazy to be thinking about Mirror Force? Mirror Force? The problem like with Mirror Force that I have is that Mirror Force isn't strong enough. Not that like our opponent would remove Mirror Force or something like that. I mean, there are decks that could definitely negate Mirror Force and stuff, right? But the fact of like all of the Mirror Forces, they're just not good enough. Like shuffle all of your opponent's attack position monsters into the deck, so what? They can summon them again, right? And then return all your opponent's attack position monsters to the hand, even if it like does apply. Then our opponent can just summon them all again. We're back to square one, you know. Waking Mirror Force. They get changed to defense position and cannot be changed back. Our opponent potentially can't do anything with those monsters. Just potentially. Waking is probably the best one here. But also, with our opponents on a Link deck, well then, issue after issue, they just keep on just arising over and over again. So we might consider like Karma Cannon. Like Karma Cannon's probably okay, I think. In terms of going second cards, I think we need like 3 more of some sort. Lightning Storm? Honestly, pretty solid. How many copies of Lightning Storm do I have? 1. I think this has a 1 of. I don't like too much. 2 of would be okay. But even then, like Lightning Storm feels a little bit iffy. What else could we be running? We don't want our opponent to scoop, but we also do want to take away resources from our opponent so they can't like recycle their stuff. So something like an Evenly is exceptionally good. Something like the Bestials would be good as well because we could continuously banish their graveyard, so no recycle, right? But the issue with specifically the Bestials is that of course they're too big, so our opponent will catch on to what we're doing and just scoop because we're not ending the game. So not quite a good plan. What else could be very grindy, but not actually be able to close out the game? But I also want the cards to be good, so this time around we're going to try avoiding Paleos as well. Is there another trap type strategy that would be slow enough that would make our opponent want to stay around? If we were playing Eldlik, I feel like people just don't want to deal with that, so maybe Eldlik would not be the play. Also, the Golden Lord, he's a pretty big guy. And we can banish some cards from graveyard, which is nice, actually. Can we recycle cards in the graveyard here? Not really. We can't put them back on the field unless we flip them face down, actually. Wait a second. Oh. Yeah, we can do that. Huh. Let's keep it simple, I guess, then. We'll go with Eldlik the Golden Lord. We'll take the alt art. We'll go with Cursed Eldblend. And you know my excuse for not being able to end the game? I have Cursed Eldblend on the field, and I can only attack with zombie monsters. And just to make this more convincing, we should have something that changes the types of monsters on the field, so we can never attack. Maybe? At least I was considering it. So Hawk, Honk, Sanguine. And I think that something like this would be fine. But also Eldlik's like not good enough by itself. It's not really breaking boards, is it? Well, like Dragon Prison would help, I guess. A little bit. Trap, Trick. This would help a bit as well. I think to round out this build, I'm thinking of just normal summoning Alistair. Like, surely you do not run away from normal summon Alistair. Who is this deathly terrified of Alistair, right? But we don't have a wind monster. A wind monster is something I would really like to see. So we can actually make invoked Ragin. I'll take a look at that in a second, I guess. So 3 of these, 2 of these. Yep. Um, we can just throw in a bunch of these guys, I guess. It shouldn't matter too much. Magaites, Liga, sure. Mega Lanica, I mean, we'll be built to throw in one of those. I mean, might as well. Alright, so this looks pretty solid. Let's see. Artemis, Celine. What else do we have? We might want run. Rank 5 could be... No, it's not necessary. These guys don't get banished, actually. Seems kind of pointless. What is the next step here? I guess we throw in like an additional copy of Makaba, technically. I'm thinking of maybe like Diabolster might not be bad. We can literally just do like Diabellstar to grab Sinful Spoils of Betrayal, shuffle back the Diabellstar as well. That doesn't sound completely awful. It sounds like just fine in general. But you know, this isn't good enough in the sense that like these cards aren't recycling themselves hard enough, I don't think. Unless we have access to Radiant. Which I don't remember if there was a way to recycle. Can we make this? Oh wait, I thought this was a win. What's the point of this card anyways? I don't remember. Well, if there's no like easy generic access to a wind monster, there's no real good way to do this then. So let's go with Wind Link 2, I guess. Nightmare Goblin, not useful. All these guys are really useful. This is generic to me. This would need 2 bodies though. Well, this allows us to use normal monsters actually. So we could link off like Conk for this. It's fine. What else do we have here? For wind options, probably not much, right? I don't think there's like a wind blink one we can just play, right? Oh. Well, that's awkward, isn't it? Alrighty then. We could have just been playing this to set this up the whole time. Okay. And for consistency, anything we could do here? Anything we want to do here? Maybe just a bigger variety of traps. So we play 2 Ice Dragon Prison, and then we'll throw in 2 more of a very good trap of some sort. But what would be good here? In terms of traps, I don't think they've released like any super crack traps recently. What kind of effect are we looking for? We're going long term. I think Lost Wind is honestly not awful. And it's not hard once per turn either, so it's like, okay, I guess. This only works on special summon monsters though, which kinda sucks. It won't work on normal summons. Is there a card that would recycle what's in our graveyard? Trip Tantalizing Tune, right? You can banish this card from your graveyard, target. a normal trap place on the bottom of the deck. If we were playing Bestials, we'd be able to recycle everything. Like, not very efficiently, but we could. Hmm. If I want to put these guys back into the deck, what is the dumbest way I could do? Yo. Wait, where's this guy? No. Lord of Swords? Hmm? You attribute summon this card by attributing one normal summon slash set monster. I mean... Can we do that, actually? Normal summoned, normal summoned. We don't have an additional normal summon or anything. Unless... Wait, we don't play hand traps. Oh, wait, we can just play this, right? You cannot activate monster effects in the hand. Wait, Eldlik has some monster effect in the hand. So close, yet so far. You know, how much do we need that effect? You know, need. Pretty bad, actually, I would say. Doesn't this trigger on flip? Yes. So maybe we could try like normal summoning Alistair and then or setting Alistair and then flipping over the Alistair. Does that actually work or no? Attributing one normal summoned or set monster. Oh wait. Normal summoned or set monster. What does it mean by set monster? I guess you would actually have to perform the action of set. If I just flip the monster face down, I don't think it counts as a set monster. If that was the case, we could just set an Alistair maybe, or an Eldlik, and then tribute over it. Also, this is conveniently also a wind monster. Not quite there. We could run like this, and then throw in one of these bad boys as well. What is this? Resolve normal summon one spirit monster from your hand. Man. You do what you gotta do. So, it works enough that I'd be, like, okay with this. How many copies of Aratama do we actually want, though? I think, like, 2's good. And then, this has, like, a graveyard effect, right? If this card is tributed, target one spirit monster in your graveyard to add to your hand. So it can add itself back. And then this will just recycle everything, right? Will we lose potentially off this? Actually, this recycles too much. This recycles our pawn stuff too. Is that a problem? Yeah, it's probably a problem. Let's just abandon ship on that idea right now. I think it would have just been fine. Like, or not fine. It would have been fun to see, like, some of these card effects resolve, but... Yeah, that's just not really happening, is it? If we combine both archetypes here, though, well, if we combine Alistair with the power of Eldlik, we should be able to, like, massacre our opponent's graveyard pretty hard. So that's nice. Aside from that, we don't really have too much going on. Which, I mean, it's probably fine. We should be able to get some, like, pretty solid hands in this list, so there's that. If we're worried about dying, though, I guess this would be an annoying amount of balance in this list. But I feel like it's probably enough. So the one thing we're lacking here is just survival. Eldlik is pretty good in the sense that it's not destructible by battle or card effect, but SP is like in every single extra deck, so not great. So I'm thinking maybe we just go ahead and make it so we can't die by battle at all. So I'm thinking we go with Threatening Roar, and we'll just put in 2 copies of T-Roar, and then just call it here. They'll probably be good enough. I don't think there's any need to go further than this. T-Roar is like not my favorite card to play for sure, but if we pair this with Trap Trick, it should be fine in general. And then we would fill out the rest of this with just generics. So I'll call this like a job well done. Simply because this deck, it does enough. It doesn't do like that much, but you know, it has some grind to it. Some. Wait, do we have enough monsters to pitch off of Makaba? Pitch Alistair, and then what? I don't have Alistair anymore. Oh, dude. This is a nightmare. Well, we'll just call this attempt number 1, and we'll try something else next time, I guess. So this has some aspects done, but some aspects I don't like so much about this deck. I mean, it's in the right direction, but it's not what I want necessarily. So, yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.